What's going on YouTube? Welcome to another incarnation of the Rebuild series, post our ER to PR series. So we're back in the gym doing things consistently, hitting every body part, upper and lower, doesn't matter. And I really wanted to document the journey back because it's been a lot more complicated than I thought it was going to be. So as you probably already know, we were squatting a lot, slowly incorporating stuff, but recently I decided to really hit the upper body stuff harder and slowly work my way up. I've got no expectations of where I want to be. I really just want to do things safely and slowly. So you can see me literally here benching 55 pounds, and I don't think ever in my life I've actually benched 55 pounds. When I first started benching, I'm pretty sure I immediately went to 95 pounds. So this is also new to me. These lighter weights, yeah, they're humbling, just because the left arm feels different. The tendon is connected to a different point, and I'm actually finding it's not even the pulling movement, so like the actual bicep, it's the pressing. So it's the tricep and shoulder that I'm getting issues on the left side with. So I'm really just trying to eke my way up, little weights, move up as much as I can, and when I start feeling that pain or discomfort, taper back and try to find some alternatives. And honestly, I'm beginning to find that doing some tricep extension stuff and a lot of overhead work is just really, coordinating together with my bicep work to really bring the whole, joint and mechanism back to life. And it's the strangest thing in the world because my right side feels like it's ready to go like a trampoline and spring and just explode weight off my chest. But it's the left side that's slowing me down. And so I know for most people, whenever you have pain in any sort of your part of your body, it feels like the lift is harder, but what's really happening is you're just emphasizing that pain a little bit more and you're really dialing in on it. When we feel good, and we really don't, feel that, but if you have an ache or a pain or whatever and you go in and work that muscle group, you're really going to feel an emphasis on it. So it is what it is, and you can kind of see here I'm wearing the Band-Aid. There is some stuff that's going to come out in the ER to PR series when I make an updated video on that. I'll explain that, but basically there's a wound that's having trouble healing, so I'm in the process of trying to figure that out, but I'm still training. I'm still trying to get back to where I was before, and it was recommended by the PT just to start doing stuff using the actual muscle and everything. And like I said before, bicep stuff, the only issue is the supination, which you could tie that into the shoulder and benching, which would make sense. It's just a different a different way that I'm benching now because I'm really tucked elbows, and now that I cannot supinate in that way, if you think about it, if you're bench pressing and you're internally rotating that hand, you're essentially doing some bit of supination, and so I'm going to have to get used to that. OHP is, man, I'm telling you, this was, deadlift and OHP are probably my two natural lifts that I was just naturally, they made sense. I was naturally good at and was able to add weight real quickly to them. Now, it looks fine in the video, but my shoulder is doing the same thing that it was doing on bench, where it just felt unstable. Same thing with the elbow. It's just the extension point of raising the elbow up, and I've actually decreased some range of motion. I used to overhead press. I'd touch my clavicle and go from there. That's not going to happen now with this injury, at least for right now. It just doesn't feel good. It feels like, something painful, and so I want to alleviate the pain. So I'm doing the range of motion that I can do, and I'm going to slowly try to bring it back. I am doing dumbbells. You'll see them in this video too, to kind of emphasize that range of motion. With the dumbbells, you're not as locked in and strict as you are with the barbell, so you can really, rotate that weight and get a full range of motion. And I have really long forearms. I'm starting to notice I have long forearms and long legs below the knee, and it makes almost everything so difficult. I've got thick arms and thick legs, but it's that lower portion that seems to be the issue, but at least it's uniform with my body. But you'll see here, just coming back super light, and honestly, I'm so used to the heavy dumbbells. They get bulkier and blockier as you go up in weight, and so naturally you're touching your chest. And again, I don't think I've ever benched 20-pound dumbbells before in my life until now. So naturally I want to touch my chest, but sometimes there's just not enough dumbbell to do it, and you can see kind of the angle of my elbow. Makes it easy here on this angle with the bandage on there, where you can see I'm actually getting to a point where I'm going below, their the full contraction of the pec though, so I have to be careful with that. And a way that a lot of people mitigate that when benching is to widen your grip though, but whenever I widen my grip, my shoulder starts to act up and doesn't feel good. So I'm balancing both the close grip and the wide grip, and I'm really just kind of doing stuff and seeing what works and going up in weight when I can, and then manipulating the foam around, maybe internally rotate a little bit here so I'm not as, your palm facing the mirror when I'm doing these dumbbell shoulder presses. I might slightly rotate them in so it's more reminiscent of like an Arnold press. And I'm just trying to be careful. I don't want to injure or hurt anything, and I'm just glad to be able to go back and do these movements again. So, I'm just slowly but surely. I mean, even on the dumbbell flies, which I probably won't be doing anytime soon, and the cable crossovers, just the act of using my left hand to pull the handle, I'm using two hands. Now I'm gripping it with the right, or the right and the left, and I'm pulling the cable, if you could think about it, into my side, and then I'm grabbing the right cable with my singular right hand, because when I was just gripping the left hand with all the weight on there, it just didn't feel good. So I'm like, all right, well, in order to get into the position, I need that handle there. So I've just been slowly emphasizing that, and then on the dismount, letting it go nice and controlled. I don't want to snap anything or whatever, and honestly, I feel like I'm probably fine. In fact, the tendon's probably more secure than it's ever been, but because it's in a different spot, it's something that I'm going to have to get used to, and I'm not used to moving that way. So, like, even lateral raises, they're not affecting me as much, though, because I can rotate out in front of me and kind of get that clearance. It's just anything where I am rotating in to really tuck the elbow that I'm noticing the issues and stuff on there. So, I mean, it is what it is. It's going to be a challenge going forward, so I really just have to figure out exactly, like, what I want to do. And these reverse flies are actually fine. I'm finding any motion where you're like pulling, as long as you're not pressing, I'm okay with that. And so I feel like I'm just going to have to work around those range of motions and mitigate that as going forward. So anything pulling I'm fine with. It's going to be a mental confidence thing with deadlifting and rowing, or any sort of back movement, nice and controlled, especially unilateral. Just go real nice and slow and let that stretch come. But tricep pushdowns, this is where I really made that connection with the extension point, because my tricep was feeling, on the left side, was definitely feeling unstable and almost numb if I was going too heavy. So clearly I'm going to have to work on the extension, and I've got a couple different ways to worry about that. But going into our second leg day here, and again, hitting legs 2 times a week and then upper body 3, doing the, the Hatfield squats here, and just finding a method to overload, because I was getting sick and tired of just straight squatting, pause squats, SSB, whatever. So really trying to see what I can do on them, and it took me a lot longer to get used to them than I anticipated. You'd think you'd have a benefit because you can hold on, but it's progressing a lot slower than I originally intended. So I'm going to stick with it just for the foreseeable future. I feel like it's just an interesting lift, get some variety, and I've got other movements. So it looks smooth in the video, but honestly, every time I do it, I feel like my traps automatically get sore, so I'm going to have to work on keeping that nice and tight. I'm really finding a weakness in my core bracing. So whenever I walk under the bar, I'm practicing really like bracing, filling up with air, creating a metaphorical belt in your core, and then flexing the abs over that, and then repeating that with the belt, which will give you actual feedback on it. So yeah, I don't know, it is not fun. I'm just not a good squatter, and I feel like a lot of it just really comes down to those really long lower leg halves where I have to sit back so far to get to where the depth I want to be, and just like weak ankles, which I've always had. I'm consistently twisting my ankle, nothing serious, knock on wood or whatever, but basically I'm constantly rolling it. So I don't know what the issue is. And it's actually the same side I had the wrestling injury on too all those years ago. So I don't know if they're connected. I don't know, it's a chicken or egg, which caused what, but I'm just doing whatever I can consistently in order to hit weights and move forward. Progress is what I want to do, whether it's adding a kilo or a pound here. I'm going to do whatever I think that I need to do in order to, benefit from that. So depth and everything on here is fine, and I can really emphasize going deeper and more controlled with the hand movements. I have to figure out, what I want to do. Definitely keeping the belt squat. I'm finding that it's a great way to target the lower body, practice the movements, and just reinforce that squat technique. And really, it's hard for me to hit, I almost want to say depth on here for some reason. It's just the mechanics of it. To sit back, I am going to 90. I usually like to go deeper, but there's really nowhere else for me to travel. I think it's because of the elevated surface and where the belt squat is. It starts to get uncomfortable if I go below this. So I've just been doing that, and I'm going to keep them in as a staple and then do these leg days strictly leg focused. I actually enjoyed doing strategic leg days without the back work. It just allows me to focus more. But going forward, when I reintroduce deadlifts, they will probably be on a leg day. And then as the deadlift weight is not very much, obviously I'm going to come in slowly, I'll reconsider. And you saw that shudder, that was the clip readjusting as I'm squatting, so not exactly the most fun thing in the world. But as I get heavier on the deadlifts, I'll reevaluate. I may go back to legs and back, and then old splits. But now that I'm not going to do the strongman stuff, I have to really figure out how I want to spend those 5 days. I don't just want to come in and just do like a general arms day. Just feel like that's not enough, and then trying to balance out the multiple times of pressing throughout the week. I want to hit everything twice as much as I can, to have 2 substantial leg days, 2 substantial bench days, and then 2 substantial back days. And what I'm finding is destroy the back and shoulders and chest on one day, and then do like an all-encompassing day like my Saturday, where I'm hitting, back, shoulders, triceps, everything all together, but not as many exercises for each one, just to kind of hit everything all at once. And I feel like these substantial leg days, even though there's only 2 days out of the 5, I'm doing more work and reps on those, allowing myself more time to recover, and it's strategic in that way. So everything's being worked out, and we'll see how that goes. We can always reevaluate if we need to. It really just depends on how I'm feeling, and I have been starting to feel soreness in the lats. I'm used to doing a lot of heavy weights and stuff and rowing, but now that I'm doing these kind of high rep, low weight stuff where you can really focus on the form, the eccentric, the concentric, controlling that in more of a tempo manner, I'm actually feeling the soreness. And again, soreness is no indication that you're doing any more work or stuff before. It just means you're introducing a stimulus you haven't done before. And I think it's the high reps and then the back volume. But without having those deadlifts in there, I'm recovering pretty quickly. Deadlifts just take so much, just because you're doing so much weight, they just take so much out of you. It's actually kind of crazy. So, I didn't realize that all those years of training, I was just used to always feeling like I was run over, hit by a truck when squatting and deadlifting, and that's why I evolved to the point where I was squatting and deadlifting in the same workout to really, if I'm going to feel like crap, it's all going to be on the same day and really kind of go from there. So, learning experience and stuff, and you're really not going to notice it until you make that change and, experience it for yourself. But hamstrings are getting extra work now because I'm not deadlifting as much, and I think that may be a nice break. It's ultimately going to be, interesting bringing back the deadlifts and getting not only like the confidence back to pull from the floor, but consistency. And I think I may just keep those real, not light, but light on volume, and really just do heavy-ish sets of deadlifts as I work up to it for like a set or two, and then call it there, and then get the rest of the volume some other exercise or whatever. And ultimately, that's probably how I feel is the best way that's going to train. I think I was just doing too much, and that's what kind of led to all the injuries. So hindsight's 2020. Try to make a change for the better here and really figure out where I want to be. But thanks for watching. That's the video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching the latest video. If you want to help support the channel, I actually own my own wet shaving and grooming e-commerce website where everything's handmade by me. It's www.apexsoaps.com, and you can get a 10% off code using wet shaver. We've got some cool scents here. We've got some Coca-Cola scents, a horchata scent, traditional barbershop, just some really cool stuff. And you can purchase samples or you can buy the whole set. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out via email. Be quick to respond. Thanks for watching.